Hello and welcome everyone to Dunlop Art Gallery Regina Public Library's film school session. Tonight we are celebrating the films of Bobbi Jo Hart as selected and suggested by exhibiting artist Daphne Boyer. Welcome to tonight. My name is Wendy Peart and I am the Curator of Education and Community Outreach at Dunlop Art Gallery. Before we get started, I would like to acknowledge that Dunlop Art Gallery and the RPL Film Theatre are situated on the traditional territory of the Cree, Ojibwe, Saulteaux, Dakota, Lakota, Nakota, and on the homeland of the Métis Nation. This is on Treaty 4 territory. Bobbi Jo Hart and Phoénix Hart work and reside on the unceded Indigenous lands of the traditional territory of the Kanien'kehá:ka, a place which has served as a site of meeting and exchange amongst many First Nations, including the Kanien'kehá:ka of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, the Huron-Wendat, the Abenaki, and the Anishinaabe. Daphne Boyer is grateful to live and play on the traditional territory of the Lekwungen peoples, including the Songhees and the Esquimalt nations, and the Wasenak peoples, whose historical relationship to the land continues to this day. Before we get started, I would like to remind our viewers that after tonight's live stream has ended, saved versions will be accessible on the YouTube channel, that they will have subtitles or enclosed captioning for your convenience. So now I would like to introduce all three presenters tonight. So here we go. Bobbi Jo Hart is an award-winning American-Canadian documentary filmmaker with Adobe Productions International, based in Montreal, Canada. With a career that has spanned 25 years, Hart has filmed in countries as diverse as Pakistan, Russia, Guatemala, Australia, Scotland, and Zimbabwe, with subjects ranging from women's professional soccer and tennis to classical music, comedy, dance, and manic depression. Her documentary films have the most common thread of revealing untold stories of marginalized girls and women, weaving universal threads of dreams, family, love, loss, happiness, sadness, success, failure, and determination. Her intimate cinema verite styles results in thought-provoking films that ultimately celebrate our shared humanity. Hart's most recent winning feature documentary, Rebels En Pointe, toured global film festivals, enjoyed a theatrical release in the USA and Canada, and won many awards, including Best Documentary in the 2017 Miami MIFO LGBTQ Film Festival, Best Documentary at the San Luis Obispo International Film Festival, Best Canadian Film at Inside Out Toronto LGBT Film Festival, and the Audience Choice Award, Santa Barbara International Film Festival. Her previous award-winning film, I Am Not a Rockstar, won awards at worldwide film festivals and was broadcast on networks in many countries, including BBC4, SVT Sweden, ABC Australia, and the Documentary Channel. Music in the film included Jack Johnson and Patrick Watson. This film was nominated for 3 and won 2 Canadian Screen Awards, including Best Performing Arts Film, Best Editing, and Best Direction. Hart's previous award-winning films include She Got Game, behind the scenes of the women's tennis tour, from Life Network Stars, which had exclusive access during over a year on tour. Phoénix Hart is 16 years old and lives in Montreal, Quebec. She enjoys playing soccer, listening to music, reading, and being with her friends. Throughout her life, she has accompanied her mother, on many of her shoots and festivals, while giving advice on rough cuts, trailers, or posters for her documentaries. These experiences have not only given Phoénix the opportunity to travel to multiple countries, but has also created a strong sense of respect towards her mother and the reality behind creating each of her films. Daphne Boyer is a renowned visual artist and plant scientist, born and raised in Saskatchewan and now living in Victoria. Her iterative practice combines plant material, high-resolution digital tools, and women's traditional handwork to create art that celebrates her family's Métis heritage and honors plants as the basis of life on Earth. Welcome, Bobbi Jo, Phoénix, and Daphne.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to let everyone know, though, before we actually get started, that Bobbi Jo's 3 films, Rebels On Pointe, Fanny, The Right to Rock, and I'm Not a Rockstar, have been screened at the RPL Film Theatre. And tomorrow night, Friday, there will be the screening of Rebels On Pointe at the RPL Film Theatre at 7 p.m. and it is free. I just wanted to say that before we get started. So now I'm going to hand it right off to the 3 of you. And if anyone has any questions or comments that you'd like Daphne, Bobbi Jo, or Phoénix to answer, please do enter those in the comment section, and we will be sure to be paying attention to those and we'll respond to those. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks to the team Dunlop for really doing a wonderful job. I'm really delighted to have my work in the gallery and also to be working with all of you. It's been a huge pleasure, and I feel very well cared for as an artist. And it's also a real pleasure to see my friends Phoénix and Bobbi Jo.
Hi. Hey. So happy
to see you. We lived about a 15-minute bike ride from each other in Montreal for, I don't know, just the whole time before Phoénix was born. And we haven't really caught up since COVID hit. And it's just wonderful to see you and wonderful to celebrate your films. And everyone, please, if you want something to lift your spirits, you need a little lift in this COVID times, do see Rebels on Pointe. It is a wonderful film. It's heartwarming and delightful, and it helps us realize the challenges that people face in doing what they do, regardless if there's a pandemic or not. So welcome, you guys.
Thanks. Thank you. So great to see you.
Yeah, likewise. It's a pleasure. I can see things in the background that I know very well, like lamps and things that are very familiar to me here at home.
Your artwork, I mean, just seeing your evolution of your art over the years has been just phenomenal. So just so thrilled to see it. And you just evolving as an artist. It's incredible.
Thank you. Well, actually, you actually hosted my 50th birthday party at which I showed my first work, and then things kind of took off from there. So that was significant for all of us.
Oh, yeah.
So I wanted to I was thinking about you, Phoénix, because I realized that life has been a bit challenging since I saw you last, and I know that school has been really impacted by COVID, and you have had lots of challenges. Bobbi Jo, I know you intended to launch your Fanny last year, and that you made a choice not to do that. But I thought maybe we could just use this time to catch up a little bit and for us to explore something that's been on my mind. And I wanted to get to it, Phoénix, before you grow up and you're in your adult life and don't have time to answer these kinds of questions.
I'll always have time to speak with you. Oh.
But I was thinking, I watched you rewatching these films, knowing most of them when they were shot, including the ones that were shot before you were conceived, and just thinking about, what is it like to grow up in a household of creative people? Your dad, Robbi Hart, is a filmmaker. Your sister, Taya, is a dancer, and Max is a photographer. All of you are creative people, and so I was wondering maybe if you could just start. Maybe we could look at some of the films that you've been on. I know you've worked with Bobbi Jo. We've seen you on film. So can you just tell us a little bit about what that's been like for you from preconception, really?
Yeah. Well, since I can remember, I've always been kind of a part of whatever project my mom has been working on. And I've kind of accompanied her along every stage of the production, whether it's going on film shoots to many different countries, which we can speak about later, and to, editing the film with rough cuts and, oh, does this scene work? And then the poster, which you can see right here, and, oh, where do we put the title? So all these details, I think I've been along in the process of each film. And so I think the ones that I've most participated on are probably Rebels On Pointe and Fanny, the two most recent films, which I think had the most conscious part in not making, but I'd say helping out on. So I enjoy it, honestly. It's a very rewarding thing to be able to help on, and she works so hard on these films, and I think that it's nice to be able to help her a little in the process.
Yeah, that's very sweet. Yeah, and many of these films, I mean, including the soccer film and Marika, you were, I remember you being featuring in those. I mean, you may not have a conscious memory of it.
Happens haphazardly, whether it's in the piano film, I'm Not a Rockstar, where I happen to be in the kind of closing scenes of the film, or in the soccer film where I'm kind of on the sidelines as the team is going into the bus or handing out flowers. In Rebels On Pointe, it kind of happens naturally and spontaneously, and it's always funny to see me on the big screen at screenings of the film.
Yeah, and you get to meet all these amazing people, like some of them.
Yeah, it's really opened my eyes on a lot of different lifestyles, a lot of different people. Trocaderos is something that I never would have known about unless, my mom would have brought me along these shoots and showed me who these people are and their stories and hardships, everything about them. So I've definitely had a lot of exposure to things I would have never known about, which is amazing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I can see that many of these shoots are really intimate, that you meet the people themselves and the family members.
Exactly. Yeah, we know all the, and for example, in Trocaderos, we knew all the people in the troupe, and, we would be staying, for example, on a shoot in the same hotel, and then, you're having breakfast with them in the lobby or going on walks, off hours, or I was even backstage at one of the performances, and they're coming in and out of the stage with their costumes on, and I'm just standing there watching everything happen. So I definitely have an insider perspective to a lot of things that are going on with their lives and with the film production.
And what can you share? I mean, without being indiscreet, but can you share any of those early memories, like just in terms of, because it's kind of an education, isn't it? I mean, it is. It's
definitely. And sometimes I would even miss school to go on these trips, which of course is totally worth it in my opinion, to be able to be a part of these shoots or trips. So I'd say maybe if that was the question, an earliest memory would probably be, the most vivid one would be when we went to Los Angeles to film for, no, I'm sorry. No, that's not true. We went to Scotland, Edinburgh, to film for the Rebels On Pointe Trocaderos, and they had a show there, and we were going to go there, and we were going to go to other places after on a trip. But we started in Edinburgh, and we walked around, and we went to see the castle, and we even stopped by, and there was like an owl, and we were with the whole, dance troupe, and there was an owl. And anyway, there's lots of little funny stories like that, but I think that was the earliest memory. And as I said earlier, being backstage with them during their show and just seeing, the monitor, and you see like the audience and all these little details that showed me an inside production of how they create their whole show, and also what my mom was doing, filming, and which scenes she chose and who she was choosing to film, because there's a lot going on at once, and just kind of absorbing everything that was going on was probably the biggest
memory of just kind of whoa. I think that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah, because I mean, it's so much of Bobbi Jo. So much of what you do is it's structured, but it's also intuitive. And I know you as a creative person that you know how to grab a moment, and these things are unfolding. So, Bobbi, what was your first memory of with Phoenix? I mean, she's been there always, but can you tell us about?
You mean on a production?
Yeah, like your first trip to Phoenix.
Well, it's interesting because I remember when I was pregnant with Phoenix, and I made a decision that I didn't want to travel in her first several years of life. I wanted to be home and be raising her and be viscerally there on a day-to-day basis. So the I Am Not a Rockstar film actually was a conscious choice. I mean, once I discovered Marika and the pianist, she was 12 years old and I just got accepted to Juilliard and was commuting every week. And so I just thought, wow, it'd be really nice timing to do a process film and just follow her until she gets out of high school, till she's 20 or something. And so for the first few years, why don't I just film a few days a year? And that way I could be home with Phoenix. And that's what I did, basically. I mean, I did. And so, but I had to make a living. So I was doing some photography for, just to help out something with my husband and his family. And somebody saw the photography because I've always loved photography, but just for fun. And they asked me to photograph their wedding. So to come back to your question, the first trip I took Phoenix on work-wise was actually when she was a baby, and we went to the Bahamas. And that first one she doesn't remember, probably either of them. We went to the Bahamas, and I went with my best friend, and she watched Phoenix while I photographed a wedding. And then I also got invited from the same kind of photography people seeing it to Cuba. And she came with me to Cuba, and another friend watched her that day while I photographed the wedding. And that was a side job I did while I was just wanting to stay home, but she was able to come with me, which was great. And then a few years later, like when she got into, school and, kindergarten, et cetera, then I started traveling a little more with Marika. And in terms of filming, it was definitely the film with Marika. I mean, I was in the editing room and just actually finishing the film. And I was on the board of, a parent committee to try to raise money for a green playground in her alternative public school in Montreal. And I knew Marika wanted to do more work with children, and I love interdisciplinary projects. I've done a lot of those kinds of initiatives. And so I asked Marika, I said, what do you think about coming to Phoenix's school and you play some music and they create some artwork and then we photograph it and then we project it on stage and we have this big evening and intergenerational kind of evening, celebrating the children, their art, your music. And she loved it. And then I told my editor about it when we were editing the film. And he says, oh my God, but that's what Marika in the film, everything, she's wanting to do that. So you should film that. So I had no plans to film this. So I went to the school just with myself and my camera, just filming her with the kids. And then it hit me at the end of it that, yeah, this is so what she wants to do. And it's so beautiful. So then at this event, you see this photo here, I'll let Phoenix, she can tell you more about it, but that was literally the event. And it was a sold out event and we raised all the money. And that green playground now has huge trees because that was, like 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
What do you remember of that?
So I was around 5 in that photo, and that was the fundraiser that my mom was saying about for my school. And basically Marika was going to be performing for the event. And as like the final song, I was invited to play the piano with her 4 hands because at the time I was taking piano lessons. And so that's what we did. And we played a song. And at the end, that was the photo. So I think that was kind of the first thing I ever participated on as part of her films. And that's the scene at the end of the film.
I remember that event, and I can remember that you just kind of went up there. I mean, you weren't afraid. It was like, holy
I don't
smokes.
even think I could do that now. I just did it.
Yeah. You were very trusting. And I think this picture really portrays that. Like you had a good connection with Marika and you felt safe.
Yeah, she really did feel like a big sister, to me at the time. And when we played the song together, I do remember a bit of the feeling, and after standing and, you know, doing the bow and looking at her and just so proud, you know. So yeah, that was probably the first real memory, definitely.
That's a beautiful photo.
Yeah.
And Bobbi Jo, go ahead. Mhm.
No, I was just going to say that Marika's boyfriend, who's in the film, was supposed to be playing four hands with her, and he couldn't come. And so Marika asked her, I think only a month before the event or something, if she would play four hands piano with her. And so it was extremely serendipitous, and I had no idea that would actually be the final scene of the film. It was my editor that convinced me of that.
Mhm.
And then touring to film festivals that, you know, with the film, because it was so well received that, you know, I have to admit, you know, when she can't travel to film festivals with me, you know, because she's in school, you know, I'm always teared up and crying like a baby in the audience because I get to see her on the screen when she can't be with me. So it's been such that was the beginning in terms of her being in films, and then it just happened serendipitously on other films too. Yeah.
Well, I guess because your life is about films and your household is about films, so it makes real sense that, you know, growing up in that, Phoenix, that you're in it. I mean, you're
yeah. It's a natural part of where I'm from, and it just kind of always ends up coming into my life, you know. It's just like it's just wrapped into me, you know, and it's not a bad thing. It's just, you know, who my parents are. Some people's parents are doctors. They're obviously more exposed to that lifestyle, and this is who my parents are. So
who do we have here? What's this?
So this is a Trocadero film. So I went, the photo on the left where they're in the tutus, that was when I was backstage with them in Edinburgh, and that was such a crazy day. I remember just seeing them going in and out of stage and sitting there drinking their water, you know, and they're all sweaty, and the makeup and just everything that was going on, and, you know, my mom filming them. And the photo that's on the top right is the one that I took. That was when Chase was it Chase?
That's Carlos from Cuba. Yeah.
Was doing his makeup, and my mom was filming him. And so I was really backstage behind the scenes on a lot of different things. And so that's another really good memory of a trip that I had. And on the bottom right is the wedding, which I was not there for, but I know these guys really, really well just from going on other shoots with them. And so, yeah, so it has a relevance for me.
Where was that? I can't remember where that wedding took place, Bobbi Jo.
Well, it was in Florida.
Yeah, it was in Florida. And it's the two gentlemen in the middle. The one on, I guess, our right as we're looking at the photo is Chase, and the left is Carlos. Chase is from Florida, and Carlos on the left is from Barcelona. And in the photo on the left here backstage, the third dancer over, not the one with his arms up, but next to him that's Chase in costume. And now they live in Barcelona and run a dance company there. A really progressive one. It's incredible.
Yeah, this is great. So this is the film that's going to be on, is it tomorrow night?
Tomorrow.
Yeah. So these are the wonderful characters that you will get to see if you go to that film. It's remarkable.
They're such beautiful humans. You had fun hanging out with them, didn't you?
So much fun hanging out with them. They were so open-hearted, and, you know, I don't remember how old I was at the time. I think 8 or 9. But they were just so kind, and it was just so fun to be around and experience their energy and behind the scenes of the actual show, that what the audience sees. And I got to see a lot of other things, which was amazing.
So she was like a little mascot. They were, you know, at the hotel and whatever. They were always taking care of her. It was really nice.
Yeah,
that's a wonderful experience to have, to build on. Mm-hmm. And your sister Taya is a professional dancer, right?
Exactly. Yes.
This probably gave you a bit of a window on her world early on.
Yeah. Well, at the time she was still, I think, training and looking for a company. So now that she works in Berlin and she's full-time at a company, I can really understand what her day-to-day is like,
But do
especially
you remember after Edinburgh, we actually went to
to see her.
Amsterdam. She was dancing
Yeah, exactly.
with
So
the
that
National Ballet there. Yeah.
definitely gave me an eye-opener on how her life is, and just the backstage, on stage, just a bit of the madness of what it looks like. And so yeah, I definitely got to understand a part of my sister a bit better.
And the other thing that comes to my mind is that these are not, I mean, the tennis film was more about one individual, whereas this troupe and Fanny and the soccer film, they're about teams. They're about people in relationship one to the other, and that's a really rich spot to grow up with, to witness, and to share. People
And
working out their stuff together.
Exactly, and I've always loved to play soccer, which is a team sport, and so just seeing that group energy and how that can evolve in the future, and how these people have stayed close-knit their whole lives, it just is really wonderful to see. And showed me that I could be like that with my soccer team in 10 years, or whatever you do as a group.
And here we have
Los Angeles. So this was for the Fanny, the Right to Rock film. We were in Los Angeles together, I think 3-4 years ago.
Yep.
And that was actually before a launch event, I believe.
They were either, I think they were either recording the album,
Yeah,
or
they were recording
yeah.
their album, because
that was at the recording studio.
Fanny the band is launching a new album, and so that was while they were recording it. So I got to see them recording their music and how that process works, and recording music, the people in the studio, headphones, everything. And that was in the car. Those are 2 bandmates, my mom, the camera, DOP, and me. So another amazing experience, since I play music and listen to music a lot. Just seeing that how music is created, the inspiration, the people that make it, was another amazing experience. Just showing me how another thing that I enjoy is made, and not just something that I listen to, but just the whole process behind it. So I really enjoyed that trip.
It's a really nice picture, and again, the idea being that these women came together, and then their lives, they spent time away, and yet when they came together, they were like sisters again, right? They were so committed to each
together
other
in their in their teens and 20s, and then the band broke up after a while, but like 50 years later, and they're just as close, which is just a beautiful life story as well, of friendship and sisterhood. So that was really cool to see people at different stages of their lives. And I have good friends, and just to see that later they're still as close is truly amazing.
Well, it made me just think too, because June Millington, the lead guitarist of Fanny, who's there in the photo between me and Phoenix, on the right with the gray flaming hair. When she left Fanny, she started the Institute for the Musical Arts in Goshen, Massachusetts, which they were doing rock camps for girls way before it became a thing. Bonnie Raitt is one of their founding board members. And so at one point, like after the film, while we were filming, Phoenix, we went down there and visited, and she ended up doing a songwriting camp there at IMA with one of their first girls that were at that institute like 20 years ago, Sonia Kitchell, and has done. And so you had this whole little group of girls that, from different places that you've gotten together like 5 times, I guess, for different camps. And, it
so
seems
that's
like
also, emerged from the film. I have had many wonderful experiences at songwriting camps, and that all came from the film. And I honestly enjoy those camps so much. It's like little retreats, and I've made amazing friends there. I've written a lot of songs there. So that would have never happened if it weren't for the film, your film. So yeah, it's
And
just
also
so
the
crazy. I don't
creative
even
spark.
realize. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
The creative spark that these women have had throughout their lives, and that they are sharing it with younger people, many generations of younger people, and fueling women in the music industry. And I mean, obviously they have a deep understanding about having been, the first women rock band. They know about the issues that women face, and it's just such a contribution, a social contribution, to be fostering relationships with your generation. I'm in
No,
awe
what
of it.
June is doing is a beautiful, beautiful initiative, such a beautiful project. And I am just so happy to have been able to be a part of that, and all the songwriting camps, and just the girls that I've met through the camps is really amazing.
Yeah, and
And
this poster behind us, I mean, I don't know if you had something about that later, but you're talking about June, and I mean, and it's Jean and Bree and Alice and Nikki and Patty, like all the different members of Fanny. But Phoenix, as she mentioned, she was helping me every step of the way with that poster, because I just tend to start these vision boards where I collect all these things, and over the years of making the film, to try to create the poster, and then I start sketching it, and so Phoenix was really helpful through that whole process of me showing her all that. And just when you look at that young woman in the poster, with her hand up and rocking out, it's really a metaphor for, not only the Statue of Liberty and the welcoming all our cold and huddled masses, of any persuasion, any identity, but for young women, to speak out, and to not be afraid to speak out loudly. That loud voices are often, women just, oh, quiet down, honey. No, just don't get upset. And that's a hurdle that I really feel is a really important hurdle for the next generation, that I felt a lot growing up, and I'm sure you can echo that as well, where it's important to be able to own your voice, and to speak it loudly and proudly. So that's just seeing Phoenix in the songwriting camps, and just her helping me with that poster, and just it represents so many layers of wanting, to for her to find her own voice in life, and all young girls, and to use it, get out there.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, is that women are often conditioned to not be fierce. And,
Yes.
My indigenous ancestors, my female indigenous ancestors were, with the exception of my mom wasn't fierce. She had a really quiet, sort of spirituality to her. But my grandmother and my great grandmother were fierce. And there was nothing cuddly about them. But, the times were different, right? I mean, that my grandmother had she birthed 15 children who lived to adulthood, and then she raised another 10. So by the time I came along, if there had ever been a cuddly bone in her, she had well moved on. But I wanted to just bring in something I know about this filmmaking too, as well, Phoenix, and that is that, your mother's friends from all over the US and Canada are often part of the celebrations or the filming of these events. Yeah. And so them and their children, who are sometimes your cohort, your age, or sometimes a bit older, they're there with you, and they have been in and out, through these various projects. So just tell us a little bit about what that's like too.
Well, there's always, with every film, there's always kind of a community surrounding it. There's the people that the film is about, there's the crew, there's, my family and our friends, and also just the families of the people involved. So, whenever there's a screening at the end, there's always kind of a big reunion of everyone, and everyone that kind of participated, whether, this person wasn't necessarily there at every part, but they had an important role in this specific section of the film. So there's always kind of a big group at the end that just kind of represents all the work that was put in. So I don't think I have a specific example in mind, but I do definitely have that sense and that feeling of kind of friends kind of from all over the place that regroup at the end to celebrate the project that was made.
Yeah, like BJ, I mean, I know from experience that often your high school friends are there, and friends like Claire, people who you've been friends with for decades are there with you celebrating, and it's lovely. It's lovely to see. It's community.
It is. I mean, living in Montreal, I grew up in California and Oregon, so I just recently was back in the States, San Francisco and in Oregon for the USA premiere of the Fanny film. And I hadn't seen my family and friends in like 2 years because of COVID. So it was my first trip. I literally got my second vaccination in San Francisco at a pharmacy the next day because instead of waiting another month, I was back in Canada. But yeah, I definitely used that opportunity to see my high school friends and my college friends and my family. And, because I mean, that's one thing, like you can't relive those memories. And so those few people in different phases of my life are really sacred to be able to preserve and to reconnect with. And Phoenix has been to some of those with me as well, not on this trip because she was in school, but the Montreal premiere is coming up. Well, it hasn't been announced yet, but it's coming up in September, and it's going to be the only actually live premiere, aside from actually the one. I mean, you had a live screening last night, and another one tomorrow night there. But I haven't been able to attend any live screenings, like except for a drive-in in Toronto recently. But all the crew and people and Phoenix and friends will be able to be there. It's an outdoor screening here, so with a live performance. So I'm really excited about that. I don't know how many of my other friends outside of the country, but I did get to see a lot of them at the US premiere. So just bringing together the locals, and I wish you could be here too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Not this year.
But Phoenix's
next year.
friends will be there. Like we'll be able to have some fun with our gang here.
Yes, definitely.
Are you going to music camp this year, Phoenix? Is that something you've got on your agenda?
Unfortunately not. A lot of the camp, the person that directs the camp and all the people that attend the camp live in the States.
Okay.
So it's always been complicated for me to coordinate going there because we have different schedules, and especially with the pandemic right now, it's just not possible.
Yeah, you did it online last year.
So yeah, last night we did it online, which was a crazy process. But
they're trying to do it in October though.
Unfortunately, it's not in the plans. We're trying to see maybe if it's possible in the fall, but
TBD,
to be determined.
Yeah, well, I guess there's just so much has been on hold, and by the time you actually get to see each other again, it'll be all the more heartwarming, right?
Exactly. Yeah. But I think, exactly.
Do you continue to work on your music on your own, or speaking of music, look at these photographs; they're wonderful.
Yeah, those are the Fanny bandmates. I don't think I was there for that. That was in the convertible.
Yeah, that was I took this photo when this was filming the opening and closing scene of the film. Like, I don't know, I have this kind of little voice in my head that wants to write a fiction script and do a fiction movie one day, maybe next life. But I love the idea of just panoramic, beautiful shots. So I had this vision in my head. It's, I guess, a little bit of Thelma and Louise-esque, but without the cliff. And metaphorically just freedom, and so a friend of one of the bandmates has this canary yellow convertible that was shot in these wetlands in Davis, California, right, where they grew up and where they started the garage band in the 60s, the Svelts, before it became Fanny. And so I found a wonderful DOP in the Bay Area,
which is director of productions, right?
Well, there were different different camera people.
The DOP stands
DOP
for.
is
DOP, yeah.
Sorry, don't talk. Sorry, everybody. Yeah, director of photography, camera people. So different, and we used a drone, so we could film this shot at sunset, and it was pretty intense, just trying to get the lighting and everything. But
Turned out beautiful.
Yeah, but I'm so happy with it, and they had so much fun. It was really and that photo, as soon as I took it, I just thought, I knew it. I used to take photos in high school. I didn't even realize I'd end up being a filmmaker because I never studied film and just fell into it. But just capturing these life moments like that was just such a precious moment. It's the same with taking photos of you.
Well, this one definitely has that busting out feet.
Fun ones of you in Phoenix over the years.
Yeah, actually, I was almost pulled on that. There's a picture of Phoenix and I swimming in the pond at some point. I was going to show that, and I thought, no, I won't do that. But anyway.
Or that one when we went to your vernissage in was in Maine, when you had the mobile of your artwork and you're holding Phoenix and she's looking up at the mobile of your work. That was a beautiful experience.
Yeah, that was lovely. That was nice to have her there. I needed her. I needed you there, Phoenix.
That's sweet.
So, I've got a couple of questions to ask of you, actually. Let me think. I have one more for Phoenix, and
Yes,
because I think we're going to run out of time. But I'm just wondering, Phoenix, if you had the opportunity to hijack your mom and your mom's film team to make a video, what would you do? What would interest you in?
I think that something I would really enjoy sharing a story about would probably be at my school. There's these groups called Classe d'accueil, which basically shares the story of immigrants that come to Canada, and these families are being integrated. And these classes at my school are people that don't speak French or English, and they are put in in class, les classes d'accueil. Accueil is welcome, so like welcome classes to kind of integrate them into our school. And there was a film made about these classes at my school, but I think that I would have wanted to do the same film because I just think that every person's story is so fascinating of how they got here and their family story. And I remember when they showed that film in class that was made about my school, I was just really touched, really moved, and I think that I would have wanted to make the same film, even though it was already made. I think that's a story that I would have wanted to follow.
And so are those students integrated into the normal stream at your school? I didn't see
eventually. So after they learn French or English, at a pretty basic level, and it's all very dependent and slowly, and they have discussions with the principal and everything, but once they think it's okay, then they're integrated into my class. And there are people that have been in those classes d'accueil that have been actually put into my class after. And so after they just get integrated into the school and new people come in. But I just think it's a really wonderful thing. And I really loved watching that film and learning about each person's story. And so I would want to make a film like that if I was in my mom's shoes.
It's really important to that Canada plays a role in welcoming refugees, and Quebec has done a pretty good job of that, right?
No, exactly. And so I think that it's important that we see the reality of what these families are facing, and just I just go to school every day, and I don't necessarily realize what some people in the same school are going through, and the adjustments and the changes in their reality. So
and I guess their experiences have the power to change us and
exactly.
So BJ, I want to come back to you before we wind up, but tell us a bit. I mentioned earlier that I know that Fanny, you held Fanny back because of COVID. It was meant to be released last year and it was released this year. So there's lots of changes going on in the filmmaking world. Maybe just take a few minutes and tell us a bit about that, if you will.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it was really, that photo you just saw before this one was Fanny bandmates. This one, we were filming in LA. It was International Women's Day, but women of color. And that's June Millington and Bree Darling from Fanny, a lead guitarist and one of the drummers. And that was, innocently before COVID. And it was already, the film had been selected at Hot Docs in Toronto. And so, for the world premiere. And I just was nauseous because everyone was going online and suddenly you're being, had no idea this was going to happen. And so, but my gut was telling me these women had waited 50 years for recognition and to be celebrated. And I just couldn't do it. So I took on another contract of work for the last year, and I'm really enjoying it. And in the meantime, I've been doing this on the side, so kind of 2 full-time jobs in a sense, and just kept working on the film. So it was kind of serendipitous because I got to work more on like animating all these amazing photos. Like there's like 80, at least 80, or no, there's more than 80 archive photos in the film, but 80 of them are from a photographer, Linda Wolf, who really was amazing in allowing me to use these incredible photos. She lived with the band in their band home in LA and took all these incredible photos. And so I was able to work with an animator, Cara Blake in Montreal, who was able to do all these amazing effects, which just really elevated the experience of the film. Was able to record a lot of original guitar riffs, like electric guitar riffs with June, which actually opened the film just to bring some vibe to the transitions. And so it was all these things that we were able to do, which we wouldn't have been able to do. We would have been rushed to finish the film and get it out last year. So I just decided to surrender. I was like, no, I'm just not doing it. I want to wait until Fanny can be like in-person live premieres, whether it's at a drive-in, which we did in San Francisco. We had a drive-in premiere with that yellow convertible and some of the Fanny bandmates, and we were driving around the drive-in and waving to everyone. And it was just so much fun. And I just, in that moment, was like, yeah, that was the right decision to do that. And they deserve that. And there's a big LA premiere coming up in LA, obviously. And 5 of the bandmates are going to be there and performing live on the stage. I won't be there because I'm taking Phoenix camping at Sandbanks in Ontario. But you pick your priorities in life, but they're going to have a blast and they'll represent well. But in terms of just the struggles of filmmaking, it has been really a struggle. Just because the sooner you get the film out, the sooner you can try to get a distribution deal, and the sooner you can try to recoup, because we were over budget by like $50,000 because of music rights. Archive rights were way more than we expected. And so we have to recoup that by trying to, bring in more, distribution deals, et cetera. And it's starting to happen. And, but yeah, that's in terms of struggles with all of the changes and, film festivals now streaming. And then there's this geo-blocking and what region you can be. And has been so confusing. And it also affects just the distribution of your film, and TV networks are not buying as much as they used to, especially in the anything about the arts for some reason. And so it's been really a challenge. I mean, just fundraising in documentaries historically has always been a challenge. And my degree in university was international relations, not film. I thought I'd end up working for the Peace Corps or the United Nations or something, but I ended up going into filmmaking to explore our shared humanity, but through film. But it does feel like in some way, sometimes I'm a volunteer, Filmmakers Without Borders,
Exactly.
So yeah, but so
many filmmakers end up mortgaging their houses to finish their projects.
Exactly, and it's challenging. And you know, Phoenix has gone through some of those ups and downs that we've had to go through when you're trying, you know, in between films, etc. And so, but you know, somehow been able to keep afloat and keep doing, you know, keep making these beautiful stories and hanging with my girl.
And winning prizes, may I say, what was the impact of winning the audience award at Hot Docs?
Oh yeah, well, you know, that was amazing. I mean, a couple years ago, that award was $50,000, and that would have paid off all of our overages. But last year they decided to change it, and I'm happy for all the other filmmakers. Like, we did get the first place of the audience, but they decided last year to change it to give $10,000 to the first, second, third, fourth, fifth place, and split it up, which I think is beautiful. If I was in fifth place or fourth, third, or second, I'd be so thrilled. But then you get first, and you're kind of like, oh gosh, but 10,000 was still great. We were able to pay off some of it, which was awesome. But aside from just the financial part, which is so helpful to some of these awards, was just that it got a lot of momentum for a lot of festival invitations and media attention and distribution attention as well. So that was huge. That was huge just for, and also, my gosh, that audiences actually selected that film out of all the films at Hot Docs as their favorite, or the most fans or audiences did. That's just so beautiful that people were so moved by it. So that's at the end of the day, when I step back, like that is the most beautiful part of it, really.
Yeah, and when you go to film festivals and you realize that when you vote for that, you know, for that winner, or it's because something has really touched you, and you want to acknowledge it. Often people see like a whole stream of films, right? Many of them, and it's hard to choose one. But you know, I've been in that position and just thought, yeah, this is a definite winner. This one speaks to me more.
Thank you for your vote, by the way.
Well, you're welcome.
Well, and the photo on the other side there, I guess I should mention, is that's my main camera person, my DOP, director of photography, Claire Sanford. I mean, we don't have a photo here of my editor, Catherine Legault, who was incredible. She also edited Rebels On Pointe. But next to, I mean, a lot of you may recognize, next to Claire and next to me there is Charles Neville of the Neville Brothers. And that was actually, I think, was his last interview before he passed away. He was diagnosed with cancer very soon after that. But when we were there, he played the saxophones behind him. He was playing the saxophone after, and it was just really beautiful. So yeah, just such a blessed, I guess if I was working for an NGO or a non-profit internationally, I mean, I'm getting to travel and meet so many amazing people and celebrate so many different ways of life, and to share that with my daughter, I feel so blessed.
For sure, for sure. Let's see. I wonder, Wendy, can you tell us, are there any questions we should have left?
Oh, yeah.
Do we have any questions from any of the viewers? You can put them up. Whoops, can't hear you.
Myself, sorry. Yeah, no, we didn't get any comments. I always think that's always, or like questions, that usually means that, you know, that your conversations are really thorough, and that you're keeping people interested instead of raising more or uncertainties or questions. So we don't have any questions, but I actually would you mind just, I have some, I don't know if they're questions, but comments, as I'm listening to the both of you talk about your work and knowing quite a bit about Daphne's work. What I find so compelling about your friendship and about your work, the common thread that binds the all of you, is this real beautiful emphasis on family and relationships. That really comes together for me in Bobbi Jo's films, in the way Phoenix talks about her experiences with you and with Daphne. It's wonderful, and Daphne's wonderful work that honors her matrilineage, and places great emphasis on her background, her roots, and her family. We have a lot of people coming into the gallery that almost get teary when they're talking with our gallery attendants about your work, because they It is so palpable in your work, Daphne, as in your work too, Bobbi Jo, even though you're not specifically talking about your family, the bonds and the relationships are so inherent. So I just, as I'm sitting here listening to you all, I just find that so compelling. And I don't know if there's not really a question. It's maybe a bit of a conclusion. I don't know. I don't know if you have anything to say, but I also just want to comment on how wonderfully articulate Phoenix is. It strikes me that that you've got a lot going on, and you have a lot more to do in your life, and you're young, and I just can't wait to see what it is that you are going to do when you're older. I'll be watching out as a curator, as a person interested in the arts.
Well,
So
thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, I have a lot of different knowledge. I've experienced a lot of different things from my parents, from my sister, my brother, my friends. I've just been exposed to a lot of different artistic environments. So I myself do not know where I'm headed, but I know that it's going to be somewhere very entertaining and full of arts. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as far as Phoenix being articulate, when she was probably, I don't know, was she 18 months old? This kid could talk. We would just sit there, and she was like carrying on these conversations. I was stunned, as if she was 5. I'm not kidding you. We thought, I thought, you're raising a genius. You know, it was remarkable.
Yeah, it's funny when I took her to the pediatrician, like I don't know, she was 13 months old or something, and he said, "Oh, well, is she talking at all yet?" And I said, "Well, of course she is. I mean, I was my first child. I have 3 beautiful stepchildren, but she was my first, child that I was raising, myself, and carried myself, and so I said, well, yeah, of course she talks. Says, well, how many words? I said, well, I don't know, like 100 or something. Like what? And so I had no idea that wasn't. I just, she wasn't in daycare or anything, so I wasn't really paying attention. But she's always been really curious and open-minded, and that's been such a blessing. Just as a mother, she's my compass. Compass to be the best mother I can be, and on film sets to raise the bar on just, she always has great input and questions where camera angles or questions to ask, and Mom, I really think you might want to ask this, right? I think the camera angle might look better this way, or and she's a voracious novel reader. Oh my gosh. And so just really curious about stories and life, and just and you can hear her own humanity, which it was so great, the questions you ask, and she obviously was, I learned so much also about her just through this process. So thank you for that gift.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure. It's really a pleasure. And Phoenix, I didn't get to ask you what you intend to do, but I think we'll save that one for when we see each other, that
Sounds
the impact.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll turn it over to you, Wendy.
Yeah, I'm just reminding a few people, tomorrow night, again, Rebels On Pointe. It's a must-see at the RPL Film Theatre. It's free. It's at 7 p.m. And also a reminder that Daphne Boyer's exhibition is up until September 10th at Central Library. She also has a couple mural commissions, one at Central and one at our Sherwood Gallery for you to see. So thank you.
And I'm going to be there, and I hope to meet you all. So
yes, and Daphne is doing an artist talk the evening of August 17th here in Regina at Central Library in the Film Theatre. I think it's at oh gosh, I should have written it down. I think it's 6 p.m., 6 to 6:45 or something like that. But it'll be on Dunlop Art Gallery's website as well as on our Facebook, so you can check that out.
And check out also my cousin Warren, who's a writer, photographer, and activist, is going to be there with me. He's prof at the University of Manitoba, so watch for him as well. We hope to shake things up a little bit.
Awesome. That's great.
Thank you so much, Daphne. Thank you,
bye-bye,
Wendy.
sweetie. Thank you. Thank you
Okay,
both.
I just want to say, if anyone wants to fill out a survey, here's the link. You can copy and paste it into your browser, and then fill out. It helps us at the library to keep doing these programs for free, for fun. So thank you. And I want to thank all of you for joining us tonight. and have a great evening.
Thank you, Wendy, and you too.
Bye.
See you soon. Big hugs. Bye.
Hugs.
Stay
Mwah.
safe. Happy